So I went back and added to the title, and then I was able to go forward, and all my settings were still there. I need to get more in the habit of doing thumbnails because it can add to it. Editing can be a bit finicky sometimes, but thumbnails are good. So feel free to give it a thumbs up. I always hate when somebody says subscribe, like this, that, right off. Especially if it's your first time ever seeing them. It's like, wow, I can decide to do so if I want to. Hi, Sunny. Where he's looking. When he changes it, when he do that, he looks on camera. Of course he does. He's our dog. Just gonna wait for viewers, since there's the piano going on in the background. So aside from the reasons I've said in other videos, and that just should be obvious to anybody that's been, more than a few seconds on any of my videos, healing, different topics of spirituality, some randomness, music, mental health, self-help, really a little bit of a lot of stuff. And also because sometimes, especially when they're feeding off of each other, we just happen to say funny stuff. And, or at least we think it is. Here's the thing, you can never please everybody, and some people will misinterpret things. Sorry if that happens. However, also kind of not, because, it's kind of like it's up to all of us to do our best to understand and be empathetic and be patient and realize that sometimes we're wrong, and or at least partially so. Yeah. To be kind. I really don't think that individual watched all that much of my stuff, or she would know that I have all these qualities. And although they did say some positive stuff, but and I suppose those things could have been present, and I should have been racist, although I'm not. I don't know. I know it's only been about almost 4 minutes, but I got all that out pretty quick, even with a pause. Maybe just keep this shorter. Although part of me is curious to see what kind of eventual. Just kidding. And he's playing piano at least. Glad I remembered my piano joke I made a little earlier because it wasn't recorded at the time. Worked it into the title. Happy about that. Going to be having dinner soon. So I just said the reasons. If there's any reasons you'd like me to add, the things that you find interesting on YouTube that I might be open to covering this time and or next other times, feel free to in the viewer roles. Fan funding, oops. And I'll say it again too, just because the stats look a little low. First of all, they're not always entirely accurate, I've noticed. Second of all, that doesn't mean they should be. And that doesn't mean that you can't make your own choice as to whether you're interested and curious. And I like that thing. Truth be told, I am kind of tired. I did end up doing my phone call earlier. So there's 3 of us now that know that I did nothing wrong, and people have different sensitivities. And it was really ironic because I said something briefly about adjusting working on triggers, and it seemed like they got triggered and didn't say. But maybe if they thought I really was one, then they thought you're not going to be the one to help me with this thing. Or maybe they're like, I need to work on this. It's not his fault. I need to work on it. So I hope they do. But I didn't have ill intent in the previous video. I don't think I did anything wrong for the most part. Maybe I shouldn't have been so curious, but that's just who I am. And I'm a free spirit. And so sometimes we shouldn't assume what somebody's intent is. If we're not sure, ask. I was going to say unless it's really obvious, but again, we can think that we know, and maybe we don't. I try and always be pretty open and direct and stuff, but I really am tired. Been a busy few days. Did 1 or 2 podcasts today. Was on the phone. Been talking with another person of the house and that owns the channel, and I'm not really sure if there's much else to say. The situation that came up earlier, which I think really was unusual, did kind of make me think of a song, but I decided I don't want to do it. The spotlight. But I'm comfy, and until I get up to get dinner, I'm on. So you can hear, but not see. Because this is a laptop, and this is the view you get from here. And it's a little bit awkward to have it at the piano. Or to move the piano because it's grand piano. But maybe I should keep this short and stop while I'm not that I usually have that feeling, and I mostly don't. But there is a small part of me that does at this point in time. One thing I will say, maybe I touched a little bit on in the previous video, and I was wondering if I might do this as a bit of a topic, but maybe I'll just say this. Just say it here. We all have biases sometimes, or conceptions, or misconceptions, and I know that there's some agreements by a few people that we can all be a little bit potentially racist seeming, whether it's uneducated, sometimes there is possibly a thing is positive racism, like dare I say, and I know it's not only them,
dare I say that,
but
dare I say
a lot of all-encompassing, which is not meant to discredit a certain culture. A lot of Asians like rice and tea. Rice and tea, I believe, were invented in that part of the world, and have since kind of expanded across the globe. That's not a negative thing. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? So, I don't even think I'd say that it's certainly not racism. And I don't even know if I'd call it a bias. It's the bias. It's a fact. A bias. But, And again, I said it in the title. Again, sometimes these kind of phrases, though, it's like initially they make sense until you realize just how popular mainstream certain things are and how anybody can like anything. But historically, where things originate sometimes. Or if you do like statistic research, there are certain things that are just commonly known and believed. But I'm also just a very curious person. So more kind of on that in the previous video, amongst stuff. But yeah, it's just still a little bit on my mind, and I'm just kind of saying either exactly or sort of some of the thoughts that have been in my mind since then. We all have cultural biases or cultural opinions about other people of other cultures. It doesn't necessarily mean racism. And curiosity, I don't know how it could ever, or it shouldn't ever really be seen as racist as much as it is being curious or wanting to learn. So, if you're curious for more of my content and want to learn more about me and my thoughts and my feelings and my videos, feel free to check out the others. Feel free to check them out. Watch as much as you can. Don't be shy to comment. It's all about kindness, respect, learning, and diversity. All together in a lovely combination, and let's bring goodness to each other. And I think it's a good spot to kind of finish this one and get to dinner soon. So, bye for now. Take care. Remember to love each other.